All right, welcome back to another day of toilet training. I kind of have to hop right into it because today has to be a longer video just because I would rather um, just model all of the rest of the paragraphs for you instead of having you go and answer the questions because we've already learned about what a claim and evidence is. So we can kind of just go through the claim that I had you guys answer the questions to and then the rest of her claims. And then I will teach you about counterclaim and rebuttal, and then we'll just go through that paragraph as well, just so that we really are getting the information and we're not having to do too much back and forth. So let's hop into it. So last time I asked you to look at paragraphs 2 and 3 and tell me what her one claim was. So there's only one claim for these two paragraphs, and then what evidence that she provides to back up her reasoning. So if we look at our paragraph, her reason is pretty nicely outlined right in the paragraph here. Restrooms, especially the restroom beside the office, are representative of the school and the students in the school. So her very first reason to support her argument that we need to do something about the bathroom is that restrooms are representative of the school and the students. So what she does is she gives us some evidence to prove that reasoning. Remember, evidence is stories, interviews, statistics, facts, all those little things you would put in there to kind of back up your reasoning. So the first thing she does is she tells us about Miss Johnson. She says Miss Johnson, the school secretary, said she's ashamed. She takes the kids, or she takes the visitors to a different bathroom if they come into the school. And that's where she uses a nice little quote as evidence. So that's an example of how you could weave a quote into your writing to prove a reason. In paragraph 3, she doesn't give a new reason. No new claim happens here. She just gives another piece of evidence to make her claim even stronger. So she starts talking about Jana Ebahara, her neighbor. She's an alumni of the school, came back to the school and said, here's her quote, "What happened to my school? What's wrong with the kids here? These bathrooms suck. I wish these kids had better manners, yada, yada, yada." All right, so we can see clearly outlined the claim, bathrooms are representative of the school, and evidence from two different people to show that bathrooms are indeed representative of the school, and their bathrooms aren't doing a great job at that. All right, so you can see how that evidence really supports the reasoning and kind of creates the foundation of the paragraph. So that's a great model of what that looks like. So we'll go in and we'll read the next two paragraphs, and we'll kind of just whip through that stuff as well. Okay, we spend more time in the restrooms of our school than we probably do in our own restrooms at home, and we would never think to make such a mess in our own homes, so why do we feel okay to do it here? Restrooms are a place that people in our community go to every day, so they should be pleasant. They should be as comfortable and as inviting as our restrooms at home, but they're not. Of the 15 seventh graders I interviewed, 14 of them said they prefer a cleaner restroom, and 7 of them said that they hold it as long as they can so they don't have to go to the restroom more than once or twice a day. In fact, one student said he doesn't drink anything all day so that he doesn't have to step foot in the restrooms. That's horrible. Probably the biggest reason we need to do something about our restroom is because the dirty restrooms are breeding grounds for germs. Why do you think that fast food places have those charts where employees have to check off that they have cleaned the restroom every hour? It's because dirty bathrooms are full of germs and germs spread disease. Places that are moist are bacteria's favorite place to hang out and multiply. So every time you leave your used paper towel on the floor, sink, or ceiling, you are creating a petri dish, an apartment house of bacteria. All right, so that is where she outlines her next claims. So first claim was that bathrooms are representative of the school and the students in it. And let's hop into her next claim. So claim 2, here it is. Restrooms are a place that people in our community go to every day, so they should be pleasant. Her next reason is bathrooms are a common place where people are. Why would we have them dirty? That's dumb. There's people in them all the time. It should be a nice place to be. It should be as nice as a classroom or a hallway or any other place where students are all the time. Okay, so that's her second reason. Here's some evidence, a wonderful statistic to prove her point. Out of the 15 seventh graders I interviewed, 14 of them, 14 out of 15, okay, think about that statistic, that fraction, said they prefer a cleaner restroom, and 7 said they hold it as long as they can. So that's 2 statistics weaved into one chunk of evidence there. That's how she's supporting this claim that people go into the restroom all the time. They want it to be nice for them. And students have said it just isn't nice for them right now, right? So those are really good statistics that acts as evidence. Moving on to paragraph 5. This is where we find our third claim, our third reason why we need to do something about the bathrooms here. Dirty restrooms are breeding grounds for germs. Boom, solid reason. Then we have all of our evidence. She references fast food places and that those restrooms have to be cleaned every hour. There's a reason for that, and she puts a little science in there. Look at Dakota throwing science at us. Dirty bathrooms are full of germs, and germs spread disease. Places that are moist are bacteria's favorite place to hang out and multiply, right? So claim, germs, evidence. Here's a bunch of information about germs, simply stated in facts, right? So now we've seen 3 different types, actually 4 different types of evidence that can be given to support claims, right? We have quotes from sources, we have interviews from sources, we have nice little fractions to create statistics, and we have scientific facts, or really just facts in general. Okay, so this essay is very much representative of all the different ways that we can use to prove our claims in a persuasive essay, right? You can't just throw claims out there. Dirty bathrooms have germs. Why are we going to believe you, Dakota? You're in 7th grade, right? We need to have that evidence. We need to have something to support Dakota's idea that restrooms are breeding grounds for germs. And that's how we persuade. Moving on to today's stuff, we're going to have to just breeze through it. Counterclaim and rebuttal. So after you've laid out all 2 or 3 of your claims, for you guys, for your essay, it'll just be 2 claims, and you'll have your counterclaim as your third. What counterclaim does is it brings up an opposing view of your argument, whatever argument you're making. A nice little hint for this, think counterclockwise, right? If a clock moves, around, all the way around, counterclockwise is moving the opposite way. If it went to the 12 to the 11, 10, 9, right? So we're thinking opposite. You start your paragraph by bringing up the opposite point. The rebuttal is where you come in and you give your reason, right? So you say, some people might think this about this topic. Well, here's why that's not true. When you think rebuttal, you can think butting heads, right? This view versus this view. I'm going to prove why my view is the correct view. All right, so let me show you what that looks like in Dakota's paragraph. Now, some of you may be thinking, why should we keep the restrooms clean? That's what the custodians were hired for. Some of you might even be thinking that if we keep the restrooms clean, we'll put the custodians out of a job. I have news for you. The custodians were not hired to clean up the restrooms every hour. They and the school board expect students to put paper towels in the trash cans provided, to put toilet paper in the toilet, and to Dakota and her typos, to put soap on our hands and not leave it dripping in the floor and sinks. I don't think I ever have to say that nobody is expected to write on the walls. The custodians have their hands full disinfecting the restroom, cleaning classrooms, and other places in the school, so they don't have time to deal with cleaning up our mess in the restrooms. That's our job, to clean up after ourselves. Mic drop. Okay, so here's where we see this happening. The counterclaim. If we remember what counterclaim is, it is bringing up the opposite point, something that contradicts what we're trying to prove. So she's saying, well, some of you might be thinking, that's our trigger phrase, some other people in the world might think, my audience who might oppose me might think, why should we keep the restrooms clean? That's what custodians were hired for. Okay, so right away to start off her paragraph, she brings up an opposing point. Here's her rebuttal. Here's where she comes back and butts heads with that opposing point. She says, the custodians were not hired to clean up the restrooms every hour. Boom. Then what she's done here is she has brought up her next claim. She snuck it in there. She didn't do it the traditional way. She didn't start her paragraph by saying, here's my 4th reason why we should clean the bathrooms. No. She started by saying, here's what you might be thinking at this point, came in by giving a contradictory statement. Then she gives some evidence. She says, the custodians have their hands full disinfecting the restroom, cleaning the classrooms and other places in the school. They don't have the time to clean up our additional mess, right? So that's it. If we even just ignore the counterclaim part, this just looks like a regular paragraph like we were looking at before. Here's my claim. The custodians were not hired to clean up the restrooms every hour, and therefore, it is our job to take a stance and clean up the additional messes that we are making that aren't just within the custodian's range of work, right? So it'll always go like this: counterclaim, with that trigger phrase, some of you might be thinking, some people in the world may say, um, people have proven that. But what you do to really prove your point in this type of paragraph is come in with your rebuttal and some good evidence to back it up. And we will talk more about this when you write your essay, because it's probably something that you aren't as familiar with as you are with writing traditional paragraphs. All right? So here's what you're doing today. You're going back into the Thursday folder and you're finding paragraph 6, check for understanding. Really, it's paragraph 6, 5, and 4 understanding, because we're wrapping up the essay here. And you're going to answer 3 questions. You're going to tell me what you think the purpose of paragraph 6 is. So after talking about counterclaim, rebuttal, evidence, that format of writing a paragraph, why would the author want to bring up a claim that gives a different point of view in her essay? Why would she do that? You're going to tell me what transition words the author used to let you know she was introducing a counterclaim, that she wasn't just talking in the same format that she had been before. And then you're going to do just some overall review. Because the learning goal was to identify the key elements of an argument, you're going to tell me the 6 elements that we have talked about so far. So if you have to go back and look at past videos, all the vocab words are in there. Those are the words I'm talking about, the vocab words that are the element of an argument. And again, your submission is due at 11:59 tonight, because it is only 3 questions. And if you watched the video, that is the majority of what we're doing, right? The majority is learning the stuff. The task is just me checking to see that you're doing it right. So go do that, and I will see you again tomorrow.